From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
Okay, we are back. It is Friday night, so we are doing some bullshit, and we don't have a real good plan, but this is the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. We're drinking macro beer tonight because this is going to be an Airing of Grievances podcast. This is normally our podcast about consumption, and that will kind of tie in, but this could go off the rails pretty quickly, so we decided to go with beers where the makers will never hear this. I, of course, am your host, John. With me, as always, is the authority on Michigan craft beer, and hopefully angry at the same things I am. He still does not like clowns, even when they're in audition for him. It is Sean from the Draft Therapy channel on YouTube. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. I'm pretty good. Looking forward to drinking some beers, airing some grievances. I don't really know if I have as many grievances as you do, though.
Yours sound more interesting, though.
I don't know. We'll get into it.
We kind of went the macro route tonight just because we didn't want to talk about a place we like and be like, then all of a sudden switch gears to like, oh yeah, fuck this. This is stupid. If we're going to talk about a brewery that we like, we didn't want to keep it more positive, at least for the most part. So I took a page off Bill Murray's book, and it is Millet time for me. I'm drinking High Life. The reason I'm drinking High Life, I tried to get a 6-pack. Actually, I tried to get a kind of hodgepodge of shitty beers, like probably a $10 flight, I guess, of Tall Boys or something. The store that I went to didn't really have much other than like different varieties of Budweiser, and that's not very exciting unless you want to hear me stop to go take a leak every 5 minutes. So I was like, well, I'll get some Miller or something like that. And they were out of 6-packs, so I got a 12-pack. Funny thing about getting a 12-pack of Miller High Life, $8.
A 12-pack of Miller High Life is $8.
It was last night at Meijer.
That sounds kind of expensive.
You know what? Compared to the normal like 2 cans I get for $10, I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, it's true. So you have Miller High Life. I went a little south of the border, and I got Negra Modelo. Obviously from the, I was going to say obviously, I don't even know who makes this. I guess Modelo, right?
I don't know.
Cerveceria Modelo in Nava, Mexico. The thing with this is I like Modelo, regular Modelo too, but Negra I like more. I like the dark lager. This is just they describe it as a medium-bodied lager with a slow roasted caramel malts brewed for a rich, smooth taste. You can't find this in cans. The only cans I could find, they're always with the foil, the gold foil bottle on the foil on the top. I can only find cans of like those big, I don't know what, 22-ounce cans. Yeah. The Tall Boy cans. Yeah, that's the only thing I could find. The only ones I could find in cans. Modelo, they sell in cans all day long, but for some reason, Negra, they don't sell. But I'll drink this. This is good.
Yeah, I like that one a lot, actually. That is my go-to Mexican restaurant beer most of the time. There's a place that's not far from us, and they're kind of one of those places that, like, classically overserves you. Like, you get a $10, like, burrito, and they give you about $40 worth of food, for better or worse. But they will put either version of Modelo in a, like, 26-ounce mug for, like, $3. It's fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's
like a sore dick. You can't beat it.
You can, but you don't want to. So you leave feeling like you're 400 pounds, but it's a good cheap date. So,
hey, can I ask you a question? This is totally unrelated, but it just came up before we started recording. Have you ever heard the phrase "drier than a popcorn fart"? You've never heard that?
I kind of like it. I've heard you can't beat a sore dick, but I have not heard drier than a popcorn fart.
Okay, I was just talking to someone upstairs earlier, within minutes before we started this, and it came up in conversation because I had popcorn, and it was my wife, and she's like, I've never heard that before. And I was like, what do you mean you've never heard that before? I mean, I've even said it before. It's not the first time I've said it. She's like, I've never heard it. I said, you got to look it up. And she looked it up, and I didn't make this up. I wish I could claim it, but I couldn't.
We might have to put it in the tagline for this episode now.
Macro beers and airing of grievances, drier than a popcorn fart.
It's what we go for.
It's like door wall, slider. What is that? What do you call that thing on the back of your house? I don't know if you have one. The glass door.
Yeah.
Is it, what do you call it?
It's under sliding door.
Sliding door. All right.
Yeah.
I'm from
I call it the
downriver.
back door.
I'm from downriver, so we call it a door wall. I don't know.
Okay, I've called, well, so I have a reason why I don't call it that, because mine is attached. So we have a sunroom that connects to our patio.
Ooh la la, sunroom.
Yeah, it looks like it's put together with like tin. So it doesn't quite, well, you've been here, you've seen it. It doesn't quite connect outside the same way that I think of, like, when I think of a door wall, I think of one that is actually, the door is the only thing separating you from outside. Where with mine, it doesn't do that as much.
Oh, so it goes into another, not necessarily interior space. I mean, it's got walls, but it's not totally enclosed.
Right.
Okay. No, that qualifies.
So before we get on to the airing of grievances, do you have anything that you watched this week that was actually worth watching or worth talking about?
So we got in a little bit into wrestling talk last week, and we talked about WWE, and we talked about, the different wrestlers and stuff. The new season of WWE biographies aired on A&E, I think, and I watched the Undertaker one. It was about an hour and
those are new. There's new ones
40
on?
minutes. Yeah, this one just aired like within the last week.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
I saw them putting that up on one of the streaming services. I just thought was the same thing that they did last year, so I just kind of ignored it. I didn't realize there were new episodes. That's awesome.
Yeah, they did WWE did a whole series, like a documentary series about The Undertaker, Mark Calloway, and it's like I think it's like a 6-part thing, and it was once a week, and I was like waiting every time it came out to watch it, and then they just did this A&E biography one, and it was pretty much rehashing the same thing, but I really enjoy The Undertaker. He's probably, even though he didn't come up last week and all the wrestlers that we talked about, which we didn't really talk about that many wrestlers, but he didn't come up, but he's one of that gimmick had evolved, and I didn't watch his whole, like, I know about all the different transformations or whatnot of his character from, the original actual old-timey Undertaker gunslinger kind of character. And then he did the American Badass thing, which I didn't really watch. And then he did the gothic horror kind of Undertaker guy. And then he kind of went back to being the badass / actual Undertaker. But he's an interesting guy. I think he's got an interesting story. And I think that character's got an interesting arc. That it starts with and comes, and he finally retired, but he's, they did the induction. He got inducted last year, I think 2021, into the WWE Hall of Fame. Like it's a big accomplishment for WWE, but in the grand scheme of things, like it's not like the Baseball Hall of Fame or the NFL Hall of Fame or whatever, but it was a cool thing. I watched that. Been watching The Real World still for some reason. Like I've been watching a couple episodes a night. I have no idea why.
So, I agree with you about The Undertaker, and in general, I'm a supporter of giving a wrestler a microphone and letting them say whatever they want to say. I know the podcast I'm about to mention is kind of a lightning rod, but if you want to go back, he did a really good interview on Joe Rogan's show. If you want to hear him just talk like uncensored and uncut for like 3 hours, it's a little bit longer one, but it is absolutely worth. I listened to it on a drive back from Pennsylvania, and it just sounds stupid. Like, oh, this podcast really made the time fly because, whatever. But it did. It was a great, like 2.5, 3 hour like chat with him just going on all the way from his like starting in like living in the back of his pickup truck and like wrestling in, I think it was in Texas or something like that before he really got found, all the way up through wherever he was at. I think this was 2020, maybe it was 2021. It might have been right around the time of him getting inducted. Like he might have been promoting that or something. Like I said, I have no idea what episode number it is, but if you just search his name, or I think it comes up under Undertaker too, that's worth going back in. Whether it's you or anyone who's listening to this, that is worth giving 3 hours up if you find wrestlers to be interesting. Yeah,
when the whole series started, again, I don't remember what network. I think it was a WWE exclusive, like the WWE channel or whatever. They used to have that service that you would pay for, and now it's rolled into Peacock. But when that started airing, he was on Bill Simmons' The Ringer podcast, and he talked about, it's probably very similar. I only say the same thing so many times, but he's just a really interesting guy, had a really interesting backstory. Yeah, he got discovered after he played basketball in college. This isn't going to be an Undertaker podcast, but he played basketball in college, was lifting weights. he decided that he could either maybe play overseas or he could, pursue the wrestling thing. And he got discovered. He just hung around this sport. I think, what do they call it?
Like a gym.
Yeah, it's like a sportcade or something they call. I forgot what it was called, but sportatorium. And the Von Erich patriarch.
Technical term.
Yeah, I don't remember what the Von Erich dad's name was, but he saw him there, and he was 6'8" guy, 315 pounds. He was like, you remind me of, I don't remember which one, Kerry Von Erich or one of the Von Erichs that had just recently passed. And he gave him a shot. And the guy, Percy Pringle, was the guy who eventually became pallbearer in WWE. But he actually managed him when he came out. And what was his name? It was like Fightin' Red or Big Red or something. He had a mask. He wore a mask. And it was just an interesting watch. Like I said, I'd seen a lot of it, but they had a lot of really old footage from like his original footage, footage of his first match. And it was just kind of crazy that they had footage of that. But yeah, so I always find, like, I don't really watch wrestling. Like, I don't watch wrestling now. I don't watch AEW. I don't watch WWE or any of that stuff. But I just kind of find
biographies and like
the lore.
Documentaries about wrestling, way more interesting than the actual event.
Yeah, same. I didn't mention this last week, but I watched, is it Everything Everywhere All the Time? The Michelle Yeoh movie. Yeah, I watched that about a week ago. And that was really good, too. That was really interesting.
I've heard it was good.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was, Michelle Yeoh. She's from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and lots of martial arts movies and stuff. And she plays this character that's basically, it's new. It's like a new movie, so I don't want to super spoil it, but she starts meeting alternate universe people. I'll put it that way. And she finds out someone close to her is basically going to be responsible for the destruction of like all these different dimensions. So it's just this really interesting story about that. So it's pretty interesting. It's a martial arts film. It's got fighting. It's kind of a little sappy at times because it goes into like her relationships and people. Her father visits and he's like elderly. I mean, I don't know. She's got to be in her mid to late 50s. Yeah, tell me about it. So it's just I like that. It's a really interesting movie.
And you said you went back into the real world and all that?
Yeah, I'm watching episodes that I watched. This came out in 92. In 1992, I was 15. And I just remember when the show came out and kind of, I don't know if I mentioned this when I talked about it before, but I got the VHS rips and there's like commercials in it. So there's commercials for some old ass computer that you could buy at Best Buy in 1992 with a printer and a monitor. And it was like $1,300. And that was before I graduated from high school. My high school graduation money went towards buying a computer for college. And I know that thing cost me like $1,500. And I got the monitor and the printer and all that crap. So that I laughed a little bit at that. They have the thing that they keep showing. This must be right. I think when they were airing this particular run of episodes that I downloaded, they still were airing them like first run. So it was like a mid-season airing of the episodes, like a marathon. And they kept showing, because it came out like actually 30 years ago, like within the weeks that we're recording this, that's when the original Real World aired. But so they kind of, in between the episodes, they'll have the cast. And they'll just be kind of like, the next episode, did you like the last episode? This is where blah, 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 blah. They're kind of like interacting. They read fan mail and whatnot. And they keep showing a commercial for the premiere of Madonna's This Used to Be My Playground video, which I don't know if you remember the song, but I don't. It's awful.
I might be going to some Lady Gaga Madonna tribute thing tomorrow night. Wife kind of wants to go, and we're going to go out to it's in Lake Orion, so we're going to go out to Oat Soda anyway.
Oat Soda Low.
Well, Oat Soda's great.
Their Instagram
Madonna tributes.
Their Instagram's Oat Soda Low, so that's what I always think of.
Is it?
Oat Soda Lake Orion.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Well, their food's great, so their Instagram could be whatever it wants to be.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind seeing a local Lake Orion Madonna impersonator. That could be entertaining. So
it won't be me.
Well, now it won't be entertaining. Now I'm just disappointed. I'm not even there yet.
It definitely won't be me. I'll be in your neck of the woods this weekend, drinking into a stupor.
Hey, gotta do what you gotta do, right? So Any others that you caught up on? We only recorded a couple days ago, so I don't know how much time you had to really sit down and watch stuff.
Nothing movie or TV wise. I'm sure we'll get into some of the things that you recommended that I watched that have varying opinions
those are
on.
coming.
Yeah,
those are coming. The only thing that I watched this week, as far as like a show goes, I watched Shoresy, which is on Hulu, which I guess is like a spin-off Letterkenny, which I never got into Letterkenny, but Shoresy is kind of like a more Canadian version of the movie Goon. I don't know if you've seen that one or not.
I know of it, but I haven't seen it. Sean William Scott, right?
Yeah. This does not have him in it, but it's basically just like I have a soft spot for hockey movies where there's all kinds of debauchery and hockey shit going on. It's in that vein of Slapshot, and it's only 6 episodes, so for a TV show, that's easy enough to get through it. I got through it in 2 days, so I think the first day that I started watching it, I was just kind of in a mood, and I didn't really want to laugh at it. I was just annoyed by the fact that they were Canadian. But the second day I was watching, I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty funny. I need to stop being a dick about it. So, that's worth checking out. Plus, it's on Hulu, so if you don't mind watching like 5 minutes of ads every 10 minutes or so, it's not too bad to get through. But more so, what kind of inspired the show, because Sean told me if we're going to bitch all week, we might as well record it. A lot of trailers came out this week, and I don't understand the fucking hype around them because, Jesus Christ. Do you want me to start with the ones that's kind of more on brand or the one that's kind of more off brand?
Which one? I don't know which one is which.
Would you want me to start with Clerks or with Munsters?
You start where you want. We can riff about it, regardless of which one you start with.
So I'm going to start with Clerks because we've already kind of covered Kevin Smith a little bit, just as a whole, like our opinion on him as a director and just in general. So if you don't know, the trailer for Clerks 3 came out within the last week, and it's only a couple minutes long. So if you haven't watched it, you might want to pause this and go pull it up on YouTube or wherever you watch trailers at. It won't take long. I'm going to preface this with, I'm probably still going to watch this because it's a Clerks movie, and I did like Clerks 1 and 2. But realistically, has Kevin Smith done anything that great since Clerks 2?
We'd have to pull up
with the exception of Red State.
I was going to say the timography. We're going to have to pull up the timeline, but off the top of my head, I can't think of. I can probably think of more stuff that he's been in as himself, like documentaries or that talk that he recorded. That was probably before Clerks 2. He did like 2 or 3 of those, though. Yeah, true. I know he did part of that Superman. We were talking about the Superman movie with Nick Cage and the spider and all. He was in that, featured pretty heavily. But yeah, I can't think of a movie that he's been in, or not been in, that he's directed since Clerks 2 that I would find notable.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I like Red State, which is a departure from his usual shtick, so that's good. He's done a ton of TV stuff, but this movie, from what I'm seeing in this trailer, looks like his second attempt to kind of reboot and remake his own fucking movie, or in this case, movies. Probably about 2 years ago, I think this came out right around the time the pandemic really like kicked in. He did Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and if you did watch that movie, you know that was a fucking like test of endurance of some kind because it was not very good. And, credit to a guy who's in the position where he can put his family in his movies and all that stuff, which kind of a running theme in these movies I'm going to bitch about that haven't come out yet. But it didn't work once. Why are you trying to do this a second time? Why am I going to force myself to watch you recreate your own movies for a second time just to put all your same friends doing the same jokes over and over again?
I watched it. I wasn't nearly as annoyed as you were, or are. I just kind of recognized it. They, like you kind of gave me a little heads up before I watched it and said, looks like he's just trying to remake the first 2 movies into one movie. Like you just said, reboot the whole kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Looks like the storyline is about Randall. He has some kind of medical issue.
Looks like a heart attack
or something. Yeah, and he decides he doesn't want to waste his life. He wants to YOLO because
heart
life
attack
comes
would
and goes.
Make sense because Kevin Smith had a heart attack, so you get to make Randall make Kevin Smith face through half the movie.
Yeah, he embodies the Kevin Smith, like the actual Kevin Smith persona. And he decides he wants to make a movie, and they show shots of them. The part I can understand where you said like, oh, it looks like they're just trying to recreate the 2 movies. they show, before they show anything in the trailer about the actual movie, like the plot that it's about, they show them going on the roof and playing hockey on the roof. It looks like it's obviously shot better and they have more cameras than they had the first time around. So it looks a little bit more professional, I guess. But, you know, I'll probably watch it. I don't know. Clerks 2, I don't think I watched until like a year after it came out. I used to be a big Kevin Smith fan. I used to really enjoy the original, you know, I was going to say like original trilogy, but it's not really a trilogy. But I really enjoyed Clerks. I felt like got a lot of hype. It was good, but it wasn't as good as it was hyped up to be. I really liked all the Jay and Silent Bob stuff.
I thought its follow-ups to Clerks were, well, at the time I thought they were better. I think now they're as good, if not about the same. I think there's looking back at Clerks now, the first one, there's a subtle like genius about, he made that for what, 20 grand, something like that.
Yeah, it was all borrowed on credit cards and all that stuff. So
right, there's something enduring about him making this movie and just kind of mortgaging his life on it and kind of doing what he wants to do. And there's something about that I can respect. And at the end of the day, that movie's written better than definitely anything that he's done in the last 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I would not besmirch Kevin Smith one bit. He put it all on the line. Like we said, he financed the movie with credit card debt. You know, he like really just, I have one shot. He's like Eminem. He had that one shot, you know, he only gets one shot. He's going to take it. And it paid off, you know, he made a huge gamble. It paid off. And I think of all the movies that he's made, and maybe my opinion would change now if I watched it, because I haven't watched it in a long time. Mallrats is my favorite movie that he's made. But, you know, I would, again, never besmirch him for doing what he's doing. He's obviously living his best life, for whatever that's worth. So I'll watch Clerks 3. I'm interested, but I'm not quite as down on it as you are, but I could see your points. Like, I can see where you're coming from on some of the gripes that you had with it that we talked about.
I mean, I think my point is more the reaction of people just going head over heels blindly, like, this is going to be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Where I don't, like I said, before I started rambling here, I have every intention that I'm sure, I don't even know if this will go to theaters. I know he's doing his tour thing again to support it, and that's fine. Like, I actually kind of dig that he's doing this indie, like, film show thing. Like, that's cool that he wants to do that, but I'm sure I'll see this one way or another. It's just, I'm going into it with, like, the lowest of low expectations.
Well, it's probably good, though. I mean, I think I know me personally, like, I don't even, if you hadn't said, watch these trailers, I would never, number one, I probably wouldn't know these movies were coming out. Number two, I don't ever watch trailers, because what that does for me personally is a movie that I'm really interested in seeing. Either they show everything that happens in the movie, like you see the end of the movie practically. When you finally watch the movie, you're like, oh, that was in the trailer. Like, thanks for spoiling the fucking movie. I don't watch it because I don't want to get too hyped up, because it's just going to disappoint me, because I'm going to get hyped about it and it's going to fucking suck, and then I'm going to be pissed off. So I don't even watch trailers anymore, because they're just always horrible rubbish. Like, they're just the worst.
That kind of leads, so point before that, Dogma is my personal favorite of Kevin Smith movies.
Oh, who cares? We're already moving on. Jesus Christ.
With that, though, like, the trailer thing, I know you don't usually watch trailers, and I kind of pick and choose trailers that I want to watch. Like, if I want to watch a movie, if I'm interested in a movie, I usually don't watch the trailer, because, you know, if you follow the, like, horror internet crowd right now, everyone's losing their shit because they're going to put a trailer out for Halloween, like, next weekend or something. I don't really need a trailer to tell me that I'm going to see the next Halloween movie.
Sure.
Like, I know I'm going to see it, so why am I wasting my time with the trailer? You've already got my money, or you might as well, you know, like, it doesn't seem necessary. Just give me a release date and tell me where to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've already bought my ticket, like, mentally spent that money on the ticket.
Right. But this kind of leads into one of the other things that I guess we'll pincushion the other movie to bitch about. But this leads into one of the other things I was going to complain about, because I got into an argument with one of your fellow YouTubers on the internet.
I know him personally, actually.
Yep. I know. I'm sure you do. You guys
we go have lunch together like once a week.
Union meetings. And, yeah.
Have coffee.
So, really? Coffee?
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
What are we supposed to have?
You're the authority on Michigan craft beer. I don't expect you to drink anything.
But we meet in the morning. Like, I'm not going to drink beer in the morning. unless it's
Why
a
not?
weekend.
You can't drink all day.
If you don't start in the morning. Yeah, I know, but this is, I got to work. I have a day job.
Anyway, since you have a day job, this guy starts bitching about how he's trying to find information about the new Scream movie that's coming out. And then he's upset that the information he finds ruins part of the movie and starts bitching that people are putting this information up. So my reply was something to the effect of, I don't know why you're so upset about this. If you spend half your time looking around on the internet for information, there's a chance that you might find that information. Seems like a common mistake.
Is this you're talking
yes,
about
Kevin's?
People at home can't see this, but I made the patented Kevin Smith face and expression.
Yes.
Are we talking about the Scream, like the 2022 or 23 Scream movie? Like not
it's the one that's coming out next year. So
yeah,
Scream
not the one that
6
passed.
or whatever they decide.
How does anybody
like?
Is everything, are spoilers about the new one already out?
I mean, there's some, like, I know because they're filming in New York, so that means that it's going to probably take place in New York. But I mean, I'm sure it's like anything else. If you dig hard enough, like, how do you think scripts get sent now? They probably get sent through the internet, and there's probably someone who leaks it somewhere. And, you know, whether or not you want to believe that leak is up to you. But I mean, if you're putting effort in to do this much work to make up shit so you have clickbait titles like Scream 6 update, like as if you're some fucking in the know reporter, you're going to find shit eventually that you might not want to hear because it might tell you something about the story.
Okay, old man yells at cloud here. Hi. Thanks
Me?
for having me. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Why does everything have to be like I need to know it right now? Like just fucking wait.
This is my point. So again, same thing I just said about Halloween. You're making another Scream movie, right? Okay, well, you already know you've sold at least one ticket or stream or wherever the fuck you put it. I'm going to watch it.
Sure.
So why do I need to spend the next, I don't know when this movie comes out other than next year. So we'll just say the next 12 months, wasting my time trying to find every little fucking detail to ruin a movie that essentially has always been a whodunit movie of a franchise. Like, why do I want to know that? Like, I could take a reasonable guess that even though we just said that she's not going to be in it, like Neve Campbell's probably going to pop up. Courtney Cox is going to be in it. I'm guessing since, you know, all the people who did not die in the last movie will probably be in it. So
I think that's probably a reasonable assumption.
Yeah. So past that, like, why do I need to go out and search any of this shit? Like, they're going to do whatever they're going to do, and it's going to come out. I'm either going to say this was great, I was entertained, or I'm going to be like, well, that fucking sucked, but, well, we got another Scream movie.
We'll see you in 2 years.
And you know what? Unlike most franchises, at least they waited 6 movies to give me one that I didn't like. So,
yeah.
Usually doesn't take that long. Usually it takes like 2 or 3. So,
well, next time we're in the meeting, I'll bring it up.
Well, you should. Kick him right in the face.
My hamstring's really tight. I don't think I could kick that high.
All right. I'm going to take a breather from bitching. What do you have to bitch about?
Well, I don't have my list of things. This is just going to be like, this is like the Jeopardy potpourri episode, because we're just going to go back and forth on crazy stuff. I almost feel like I want to talk. This isn't in my list of gripes, but I feel like I want to talk about the Munsters.
Okay. So we'll go back on that because this is my list of gripes.
Yeah. So talk about, no, you tell me your feedback on Rob Zombie from White Zombie fame is making a movie, and it's based on the, 60s television show, like mid 60s, late 60s television show, The Munsters. Yeah. Obviously the stars of The Munsters are all dead. Fred Gwynn and Papa Munster, Grandpa Munster, whatever. I never watched the show. Yeah. Like I was an Addams Family guy because that was what was on Channel 50 or syndicated TV when I was a kid. So I never watched the Munsters because that wasn't on. That was like that eventually came to Nick at Night and whatnot. So Rob Zombie's making a colorized version, like a retelling, basically. Is it an origin story? I never watched it, so I don't know.
So it looks like it's a prequel because Eddie Munster's not in it, at least not from what I can see in anything. So I think it's a prequel. I think it's telling the story. It's Rob Zombie, so it's probably not going to be telling this. But I think the idea is that it's telling the story of how Herman Munster married Rob Zombie's wife, essentially. Okay.
Just like in the show.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit first because this is one that just... I'm sorry. Like, again, like I said with Kevin Smith, I respect the fact that he cares about his wife and he wants to give her, help her pursue her career, blah, 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 whatever. She's a fucking terrible actress. She's not the worst person to look at. She's got a horrible, like, her voice is like nails on a chalkboard for me. Like, I fucking hate it. Her acting is terrible. She has 19 credits in her acting discography, with the exception of a NCS episode and a CSI episode. They're all related to Rob Zombie.
Was she an actor before they got together? I mean, it doesn't sound like she was.
I don't think so. I mean, her first, like, credits are, like, his music videos and shit.
Oh, okay.
So if she was, I'm not seeing anything that's reporting that. And the TV series that she was on, they were kind of between the Halloween movies and his later stuff, like 31 and all that shit. So, that aside, the trailer for this movie is about 2 minutes long, and there's actually two versions of this trailer. There's a color version and a black and white version. Now, the black and white version, for all the things I can't stand about Sherry Moon Zombie, my bigger problem with Rob Zombie, which I'm going to come back around to, and some of the stupid, like, choices as far as what they're making this movie looks like, in black and white, at least it looks like I'm watching something that's trying to be the Munsters, because it was a black and white show. In color, man, I'm getting like mega, like, Flintstones movie with John Goodman vibes. It is like just super yabba dabba do, like slapstick shitty. I guarantee you there'll be a banana peel gag with the, like, sound effect drop in it somewhere. It's the only thing I could see redeeming this movie, and I don't even know that this would redeem it, but I hope that it just somehow turns into, like, because it's, again, rumored to be a 3-hour movie.
Oh my
just like
God.
3 hours of, 3 hours of them just, like, murdering people, like, nonstop, just bodies the whole fucking time. Like, this is
they
just
play drowning pool, let the bodies hit the floor.
I'm sure Rob Zombie would have his own shitty, like, new metal song to cover to, maybe he could do his own cover of that song.
Okay.
But that's the only way I could see saving this, is if this turned into, like, a straight, like, body count of a movie. The other thing with this too, like, the trailer, like, this trailer the color version of the trailer, I should specify, looks like a Rob Zombie music video shot on, like, an iPhone 8. Not even like a new iPhone, like an old, like, super saturated, over the top, like, bad color correction, all that. This is a $40 million movie. Like, that's the budget on this movie. To kind of give you an idea of some other movies that are in that ballpark, like, not exact like numbers, but in the same range as far as, like, what a $40 million movie can be. Straight Outta Compton was around $40 million. Looper was around $40 million.
Really?
Taken. Yeah, I pulled this up beforehand. It was all the research I did this week.
Wow.
District 9 was a $40 million movie. Granted, it looked a little video gamey for the time, but it was as around a $40 million movie. 50 Shades of Grey. That Love Room was expensive, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of, like, other ones where you're just seeing, like, the cast is where your budget goes. But yeah, if you can tell me you can get a movie that looks like Looper did, or like, Straight Outta Compton was a good looking movie. Like, forget the rest of it. Like, actually, I like that movie a lot, but it looked really good for a $40 million budget. So I don't have, aside from maybe the set pieces, I have no idea where that $40 million is going.
From what I watched, you say the set pieces, I thought the set looked extremely cheap. Like, there were scenes in the trailer.
In black and white, it looks good.
Okay. Well, there are scenes where the background is almost incomprehensible. Like, you can't even see it. It looks just like, we just set stuff up in this room, and we have a black sheet in the background, and that's what. I don't know if you are familiar with Tommy Wiseau, The Room.
A little bit. I never watched that, but I know of him.
That's a movie that we're gonna talk about. But this looks like the soul of whatever exists from the soul of Tommy Wiseau. He's still alive, but whatever exists in the ether was somehow taken in by Rob Zombie. It looks so cheap. Like, what they filmed looks so cheap. And I'm not a Munsters guy. I'm not the authority on the Munsters, so I'm talking out of the
I'm
side
not an
of
authority, but I know I like it more than you do.
I'm talking out of the side of my ass when I talk about the Munsters because I don't know anything about it. I mean, I know the lady that they look like I don't know, I was going to say a beat off, but a
They
rip
look
off
like
Addams
Universal
Family.
monsters.
Yeah.
Or
What's his face? The kid is like the werewolf, and the dad's the Frankenstein, and the bride of Frankenstein. And the daughter's like normal, right? And the grandpa's like Dracula. It looks like shit. It looks like you said it. It looks like it was filmed like a soap opera. Like it's high. When you remember, like when TVs came out and they had the high refresh rate and they had that like true motion shit that everybody instantly turned off except for your parents that didn't know how to turn it off. And you went over there and everything looked like a soap opera, like there were too many frames and it just looked like it was filmed on videotape or something. That's what this looks like to me. Like I only watched it one time. I couldn't even find the black and white trailer. I only saw the color one, but it just looked like crap. Why would I want to watch this? It looks like shit.
Yeah. And I mean, even though like, you know, this trailer opens with, I know what they're going for. They're going for the like grindhouse looking type voiceover with, well, I don't mean that in a good way.
Okay.
Like the look. I don't mean it to sound complimentary. They're going for, but I think that's the look they're going for because they show the graveyard and they got the, you know, fonts from his previous movies. And I guess, you know, again, if you're trying to sell the Munsters, like the Munsters is not, for as much as I like it, the Munsters is not House of a Thousand Corpses or Halloween or any of the other things that Rob Zombie did that might or might not qualify him for this. I mean, I'm not a parent, but if I had young kids and you're like, I would think, oh, the Munsters, that's probably kid appropriate, but they come on, they're like, from the maker of House of a Thousand Corpses. I was like, wait, what? Like, how does he qualify to make this?
Even when they show the logos of all the things, they're all cleaned up. You know, like when the logos and the names and the titles and shit that they just rip off the posters look like they redid them and they're all cleaned up. Like this is a squeaky clean image of Rob Zombie. They look like they were
done in PowerPoint.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks like they're high res, you know, like when I look at House of a Thousand Corpses, right? Or I look at Devil's Rejects and I look at the name on the poster, on the DVD, on the VHS, whatever they came out on, it looks grimy. Like it has like this texture on it that makes it look like it's authentic, like it's an old movie, like a 70s real grindhouse kind of movie. And then they show the thing and it's all glossed over, like they put a nice fresh coat of paint on all the names. And this is super insignificant and nitpicky, but it just looks, it cheapens it. It makes it like, I'm this guy, I'm this director, I'm this auteur who makes these movies that are like grimy and like dirty and like in the muck. And then I'm doing this I'm doing this family style movie. So, and maybe that's the point. And maybe I'm totally missing what the point is, but it feels like, for lack of a better term, it feels like someone's selling out. Not that Rob Zombie and White Zombie and all that crap isn't already like the corporate version of like the I'm going to steal your thunder. You might bring this up. We texted back and forth and you were on a ramble about Tim Burton. I feel like Rob Zombie wants to be like I'm sorry, not even 2020. It feels like he wants to be like the 2000s. Like he wants to be the 2000s version of Tim Burton where he's sanitizing. He's eventually going to sanitize these things for an audience.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but I had another argument I got. So again, follow us at Dewey Podmonster if you want to watch me argue with people on the internet.
Random internet people.
Real good reason. Some guy today was going on a rant saying that Rob Zombie is a modern David Lynch. And I'm not a David Lynch fan really either, but that's not even close to where I responded with just like a whole bunch of ha-ha-has. But then I was like, dude, if anything, Rob Zombie is just the new metal version of Tim Burton. That's all he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least, like, I like David Lynch and I like his movies and some of them, I don't understand what's going on. Like, I feel like sometimes it's too pretentious at times. You know, I'm not that smart. Like, I will never be smart enough to really understand all the stuff that's going on there, but he takes risks. He does movies that are out there, and people, when you go see a Tim Burton shit, when you go see a David Lynch movie, you kind of know it's going to be a little weird. When he did Dune, everybody was super excited because they knew it was going to be crazy and weird. Like, he was actually tapped to direct Empire Strikes Back, and he didn't do it.
And what little defense I'll give Rob Zombie, because I if you haven't figured out, I'm not a Rob Zombie fan. You know, to his credit, he does not, like, even if he heard this, which he won't, he does not give a fuck what I or what you or what anyone else thinks about his movie.
And he shouldn't.
So, no. And that's actually to his credit. So, where I mean, I don't have a problem with that part. I mean, David Lynch also does not give a, I think he's actually probably just unaware, let alone doesn't give a fuck.
I think he doesn't give a fuck. He's transcendental, meditating to some place on another plane. Like, he's not even existing on this earth.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, David Lynch, I would go as far as to say he probably is a genius, but I can't follow that genius. Like, I can watch his movies and appreciate that they're really well made and smart and blah, 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 but I'd rather sit down and watch, like, Ted or something and just be entertained by a bear that smokes weed, you know? But back onto Rob Zombie and this shit, like I said, the only way I'll go back, the only way I could really justify this, like, train wreck, and who knows, maybe I'll be wrong, this will be the best horror comedy since Shaun of the Dead or something like that. I seriously doubt that, but I mean, unless it just turns into like your typical Rob Zombie movie where it's just House of a Thousand Corpses set in Munsters universe, I don't know how this is going to be watchable. The other thing I really fucking hate about Rob Zombie movies, like to the umpteenth degree, is, man, hire a writer, dude. Like, you do not need to write your scripts like you're writing Dragula Part 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of the it's one of the
Yeah.
worst things about his stop. You know, when you're making an R-rated movie, like, crude language is fine. Like, I'm not going to get mad about that. But when you're literally dropping F-bombs, like, not even exaggerating, like, every other word, are you even making a point with this dialogue? Realistically, when we watch a slasher movie, we all root for the slasher because that's what's fun. But I don't think I'm supposed to be rooting for Michael Myers to come tear these people apart because I hate these people this much.
We should be liking it because it's Michael Myers, not because the people are so hateable that you want them dead.
Right.
You should
Exactly.
have some kind of sympathy. Like, let's build a little bit of sympathy for these characters so that, you know, they're not just lambs for the slaughter for our entertainment. I mean, they are, but
yeah, but there's a way to do it, I guess.
Sure.
His entries into horror in general, he's okay. He does have the plus on his belt, or the notch on his shillelagh for killing Chris Hardwick and Brian Johnson in the same movie. So that's, or is that his name? The dude from The Office.
Rainn, yeah.
The guy.
Rainn Wilson.
Yeah. Rainn Wilson. Rainn Johnson is the Star Wars guy, right?
I think his name's actually
Ryan
Ryan.
Johnson.
Yeah. When you said
you
said whatever you said, I thought you meant the guy from AC/DC. I was like, he's in some movie that he gets killed.
That's Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
He might be. I wouldn't put it past him. Anyway, he kills Chris Hardwick and Rainn Wilson, whatever, in the same movie. So that's got something going for it. But, I mean, I'm not going to go off on his music too much because that's a whole different rant, even though I don't mind his white zombie stuff, but everything after that is just so... What?
Isn't it all under White Zombie? He did his own...
No, they're two separate. He left the band White Zombie and went and did his own act as Rob Zombie from that. Basically around the time that Child's Play, was that Bride of Chucky, the one with John Fertilli in it?
Yeah.
That's right around the time when he was... I'm no longer White Zombie. I'm now Rob Zombie.
That's how much I do not care.
Yeah,
I didn't know. It's been
I'm not,
30 years or whatever. I don't care.
I don't really feel the need to force you to listen to any of his things, so no worries there.
Thank you.
But, well, there's no episode, so mark that down. There's no Rob Zombie or White Zombie music episodes coming anytime soon. This movie, I mean, again, it's going right to Peacock, so it'd be a while before I see it. I highly doubt that I will make much, if any, of an effort to see it. It would have to be one of those things where I'm just kind of, oh, there it is. I guess I'll watch this, but...
The Munsters is not going to theaters. That's going straight to Peacock?
No, it's going straight to Peacock. It's a $40 million movie directed by Rob Zombie that is going straight to Peacock.
What? Why isn't that in the trailer?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's insane.
I have no fucking clue. But
God, I don't think, no one will ever watch this. Like diehards might, but who's going to watch this? Maybe that's
I
why
don't
it
know
looks
how
so
they're
cheap.
going to make that $40 million back.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Content carriers have endless pockets, like bottomless pockets, that they should be giving us money to produce awesome podcasts like this one and YouTube channels about beer, for sure.
Yeah, maybe YouTube channels about this shit where I can become what I got in an argument with.
There you go. I was digging about the Munsters and I found all the spoilers. Fucking pissed. Bullshit.
I think I'm just pissed because it's Rob Zombie making another movie, and at least his last handful of movies are so like, because I know he like crowdfunded his last few movies to even get them made. Well, the good thing about that is you don't have the advertising budget, so at least it can come and go, and I don't really have to pay attention to it if I don't want to.
Yeah, I feel like anything like that on streaming, specifically Peacock, I don't ever hear anything about it. Like, I know that they try to put a bunch of money behind it, but I feel like I never hear about it. Like, oh, this thing. Oh, where is that? It's on. That's the only thing I might hear somebody say, I really want to see this thing. Where is it? I don't know. You look it up. Oh, it's on Peacock. Cool. Like, I don't.
The only thing that I ever watched on Peacock was Halloween Kills. And the only reason why I watched it on Peacock instead of in a theater is because the theaters around me were not open yet. And I really didn't want to drive like an hour to go see them. Like, that didn't seem worth it to me when I could just watch it in my living room for free.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, the theater experience is not that big a deal for me. If you put every movie on streaming, even at like a pay-per-view price, we'll say $15 or something like that to stream it the day it comes out, I would watch a lot more things the day they came out just because I didn't have to go deal with all the bullshit in a theater.
I loved going to the theater to see movies, but I'm not one of those people that find the movie experience to be like a sacred thing. I have watched so many shitty movies on a VCR or on a VHS rip or like low res. Yeah, it's cool. Like I would prefer. I think I would probably prefer. Well, these days I feel like I'd prefer just to be able to watch it at the age that I'm at. I would prefer just to watch it at home. But
it's not just the age thing. Like, I mean, that's part of it too. Like, you don't want to have to go out, and movies are not exactly affordable to go out to. Like, I don't have kids, but like the last movie I went to with the wife, it's like a $70 night, which is kind of insane. And then you get some dickwad who wants to talk through the movie or text through the movie or something like that. And that's stupid. But with the rare exception of, like, I'm just going to pick like an epic movie, like a Lord of the Rings or some shit like that. Do you really like lose that much by watching a movie at home on your 4K TV or your HD, whatever you have at home? You just turn the lights out and just kind of watch whatever it is. Because most people have a pretty good sized TV at this point. I don't feel like you're missing much by watching probably 98% of movies at home, unless you're really into the Marvel shit, which maybe you want the big screen for that. But I mean, the majority of things that are not a 2020 special effects blowout.
A 2020 special effect? Because I would just watch a 2020 special effects blowout at home. Oh, got it. Yeah.
Well, I would too. Like, but my thought process before is I wanted to see things like Star Wars or things that really took advantage of the big screen and the theater atmosphere in the theater because, you get the whole environment and all that shit. Forget all the stuff about the cost of going to movies and shitty people and all that aside. I feel like the technology is just as good as what I have in my living room now compared to what's available in the theater, that I really don't feel the need from a experience standpoint to have to do. I would much rather watch it here, microwave a $1 bag of popcorn, and have a less annoying experience.
There are two reasons that I go see movies in the theater. Number one is because I want
oversized boobs on the big screen.
I don't care about that. But number one, going to see a movie with my friends, because we, like the Marvel stuff, Star Wars, the big like tentpole movies that would come out, I would go with my friends and go see, and it's the experience of you go out like a couple hours before the movie, you get dinner or whatever, you have a couple drinks, you go to the movies, you get your popcorn, you feel like a big fat hog by the end.
It's not really about It's
I mean,
not
it
really
is about the movie,
it's about
but
the night out.
it's more about the time that you get to spend with your friends. Number 2 reason I go to the movies in the theater, to get away from somebody. Like, oh, I have 4 hours to kill, or 4 hours that I'm supposed to be someplace and I don't want to be there. Where can I go that I can't go home? You know, so let's call a spade. It's to get away from my family. So I'm going to go to the movies, and I'm going to sit there alone, and I'm going to watch some movie that I want to see that nobody else that I know wants to see, or nobody can see it when I need to see it. And that's the other reason I go to the movies.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'll just watch it at home. I'd prefer to.
How do we get on this? What were we talking? Was this still about the Munsters, or was this something else?
This was a side raid, a side tirade about Rob Zombie, but yeah.
I don't know. Rob Zombie's a disaster, and I have as low of hopes as I have for Clerks. Rob Zombie just totally kicked him right in the dick and pushed him even lower for what he's got cooking up. So,
Yeah.
So what do you got to rant about? Because I'm out of topics now.
What? Is that possible?
I mean, I'm sure I could find something, but
I just have a couple, and it's what I sent you earlier. So this is totally like switching gears. We're going to do a 180 on this. I got to ask you, man to man, am I peeing in the urinal the wrong way? Do you have the problem? I don't really notice it when I'm not wearing shorts because I just don't notice it. When I pee in the urinal, I feel splashback all the time. Where am I supposed to pee in a urinal? My dad didn't teach me this. Am I supposed to pee onto the little lily pad with all the spikes on it, the deodorizer thing? Am I supposed to pee right straight back into the urinal? Am I supposed to pee in the water? Where am I supposed to pee so I don't get splashback?
So I think if you have to ask this question, you are peeing the wrong way.
Should I be backing up to the urinal? Like I'm taking a shit into it, but I'm supposed to like stand over it and hover over it and piss right into the crease in the front.
My recommendation is don't use the urinal. Use the toilet.
Use the
go
sink.
back to the stall.
Use the
You
sink.
can do that, but you're going to get splashback. So use the stall.
Just piss right into the
go
drain.
back to where. Let me finish. Go back to where the door of the stall is. That is actually a starting one, and you piss from there. And as long as you hit the toilet, you will not get splashback. The only way it's a problem is if you have low flow, and then you just hit your shoes, and you have a whole new problem.
And why is there so much urine? Like, why is the concentration of urine underneath the urinal? The underneath the urinal is almost sometimes wetter than the actual urinal itself. How does that happen? Is it people like you who are standing like by the sinks and they're trying to do the arc, like the rainbow, and they just have like low flow, or that's like a low point on the floor? Do you know what I'm talking about? You go into
I think people just don't aim, period.
I have driven. How can you miss that? You're standing right in front of it. I have driven all over this country. I have driven to Florida in one shot, not stopping, 20 hours. Myself, me personally, driving home. I have done that. I have been all along the from Michigan 75, like the whole
You went
route.
20 hours without taking a piss?
No. I took 20 hours without changing drivers or sleeping. I have done that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
I've done that. I was going to say I at least had to take a
Gatorade
piss,
bottle.
get a coffee. Yeah, something.
No, I scream at the family, like, we are stopping for gas. In the time that it takes to get gas, you need to run, you need to get your food, you need to go to the bathroom, and we need to get in the car. We are not stopping again until this car is out of gas. But I have driven along 75 from Michigan to Florida, all the states in between there. I have driven to the Carolinas. I'm the primary driver of this family. I've used bathrooms, urinals across that section in gas stations, rest stops, what have you. Why is there so much piss on the floor? How are you missing that bad? You're standing right in front of it. You can straddle the thing if you want to, and you could be like right in there. Most of the time it's low enough that you can like scoot over and your nutsack can like hang on the front of it. You know, it can just be a little perch for your balls. How is there so much piss on the floor? And how do I get it all over my pants when I try and use the urinal?
So I'm going to backtrack to answer your first question. When I aim in the urinal, wherever the, I guess, drain would be is generally where I'm aiming.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it goes as much down the drain in my head, minimizing splashback. I don't really have a splashback problem in general, though.
What about maybe your stream's either too strong or too weak? What if they have the dome, that little metal dome in there with the slots in it? Are you just pissing
Well,
on
that's
that?
a target.
So you're pissing on
Oh,
it.
they'll try to piss through it.
Oh, it's like a game. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like if you don't see these a lot anymore, but like when they have the urinal cakes,
Mm-hmm.
the goal is always to get rid of the urinal cake if you can.
I pee on the rubber thing sometimes because I feel like with all the little spikes all over it, it's kind of like a diffuser.
Mhm.
You're going to hit it and it's not going to spray back. It's just going to hit it and spray it's going to be like a Plinko kind of thing, right? But it's going to head away from you. It's not going to hit you.
I mean, that's an option.
I've just had a thing where I had a pair of pants and I don't wash my pants every time I wear them. Like I like to kind of wear them in
I
a
don't
little
either.
bit.
I'm
Yeah.
a fucking man. No, you wear them until they smell like shit,
Until
and
they
then you wash them.
They stand on their own and then you wear them
Yep.
another month and then maybe you wash them. But I was wearing these pants and I sat down and they stunk. They smelled like pee.
So when they stand on their own, you take them, drape them on the back of a chair, leave them for 2 days while you wear your other pair of pants, and then put them back on.
I'm going to leave them for months until I'm done with wearing the other pair of pants and I'm just going to switch them.
I don't like my other pair of pants, so I only do it for 2 days.
Oh, got it. Yeah, no, I'm okay. I have to cycle through. I mean, I do like to wear the same ones a lot. Kind of shorts, I do the same thing. Like I have these shorts that I like to wear, and then like I have 3 colors, three pair of the same brand, and then I switch. You know, like I'm gonna do the thing.
2 gray, 1 blue for me.
I have olive, a khaki, and a gray, like a charcoal kind of gray.
You know what's funny? While we're on this subject, I bought the same 3 shorts, 2 gray, 1 blue, and apparently 1 pair of the gray I've worn dramatically more than the other 2 because the other 2 were still gray and blue. But the gray one that I've worn a lot, it has like sections where it's like pink and like it almost looks like a camo print because it's faded all fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's got paint stains on it. It's got all kinds of shit all over. I'm like, well, these are the good ones because they're all fucked up.
I gotta wear these more.
Right.
And
So,
the other,
anyway, so you had some pissy pants.
yeah, and they stunk, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put these in the dryer with a dryer sheet or something because I don't want to wash them. You know, that would be extra 40 minutes for me to actually put them in the washing machine, so I could just put them in the dryer with a dryer sheet or spray some Febreze on them or some cologne or something. Problem solved. The other gripe that I have is kind of related. Like I mentioned, I've driven all over this great nation, specifically Michigan to Florida, which is the best part. Driving through Ohio, driving through Kentucky, driving through Tennessee, driving through Georgia, and driving through Florida. I've driven to Tampa. I've never gone quite
Take
further.
Ohio out of that, but
Ohio, no, that's like, it's funny because people bitch about Ohio being like really flat and kind of boring. If you go like to the East Coast and you drive through Florida, it's super mountainy and hilly and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. But if you drive down 75, it sucks because it's all flat and it's like, you got to drive 65 because the cops are here and they patrol it with radar and all this stupid shit. But why?
I've always enjoyed driving through Pennsylvania. It's a very nice drive there.
Yeah, it's a lot of hills. It's kind of entertaining. I like driving to Pittsburgh. Yeah. I like driving to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a cool spot to drive to. But how come nobody knows how to drive on 2-lane?
No one knows how to drive, period.
Like, if you're not...
You want to hear my fun? So, how come no one knows how to drive a fucking pedal bike?
What?
You want to hear this story? So this is my fun story.
I don't want to hear this story.
Actually, you probably do, because it involves me getting pissed off. So,
Fine.
you want me to... Okay.
Fine.
So I'm going home to grab lunch, and I'm actually at a full stop trying to merge into traffic. And I look to my left, and there's some stoner kid coming on his bike, pedaling up the street. Again, I'm at a full fucking stop. Not moving, waiting for traffic. This kid just plows right into the fucking front of my car.
What?
He plows, my truck. He literally, he...
Like head on?
And he head on, like right over the driver's side wheel well. I'll send you the picture later. There is a dent in I'll send it now so you can see it now. There's a dent in the front wheel well of my truck that is going to cost me about $1,500 to fix.
What?
Because this dumbass fucking stoner kid went head first into my truck, flipping over, knocking his fucking flip-flops off. I just sent it to you, so you should get it in a second now. Knocking his fucking flip-flops off. He gets up, and he's like doing this hand thing at me, like kind of a
Kevin
Robert
Smith.
De Niro, like, yeah, somewhere between the
He's
two.
doing the Kevin Smith. Holy
And
shit.
he goes, yeah.
How did you hit that?
So
We're going to
So,
you got to put this
I-
in the notes. You got to put a link to this in the notes so everyone can see what we're looking at.
I'm still dealing with it, so I don't know if I should. I don't want to.
You going to get arrested?
I don't know. Well, probably not. This is a week ago at this point. So I did come back to work. I was like, so if the cops show up, this is what happened. Anyway,
shit.
so my first response is, the obvious. Are you all right, dude? Like, you're not passed out? Do I need to call an ambulance or something because you just plowed headfirst? And he had a good 15 feet to stop or, go around me, whatever. Like I said, I was not moving. I was totally stopped. And he starts claiming that I'm blocking the sidewalk, which maybe I was a little because, again, I'm trying to merge into traffic. But I don't think I was. He certainly could have gone around me, as you tend to do when you're steering a vehicle or a thing that's moving. I go, look, man, I'm sorry that you ran into the fucking front of my truck, but at some point you got to pay attention and have like some kind of jurisdiction over where you're going with your pedaling here. If something's directly in front of you, it's in your best interest to either stop or go around it. And he just put his flip-flop back on and pedaled away. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going to go fucking feed my dogs and all this shit.
I don't even know how, like, if you're at a full stop, how does a person not realize that you're stopped?
I'm 99% sure he was high as a kite. Which would also explain why he went face first into the wheel well of my truck, or I guess that's a wheel well. I don't know.
Yeah. That's like the quarter panel.
He went into the face first into the quarter panel of my truck and got up, and Kevin Smith did. But my door makes that really good pop noise now when it opens because the way the dent is, it catches it. It's fucking great. So
yeah, you're gonna have to get in a whole new thing.
Yeah, like I said, it's about $1,500 from. Well, I'm still shopping around because that's what the dealer says. This is about $1,500.
Oh yeah.
Try and find somewhere that's not a dealer and not as expensive. Hopefully.
I feel like my gripes are very inconsequential compared to your movie gripes, your bicycle flip-flop gripe.
I don't know, man. Pissy shorts is kind of right up there with Rob Zombie. So
yeah. Well, these are pants. Shorts that just get on my legs, and I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. But nobody says like, man, you stink. Like you smell like piss, and I'm like, oh, sorry, it's my legs. I have piss all over my legs.
See, if someone says that you smell like piss, you just got to go, yeah, kind of play into it.
Yeah, I do. So do you. Do we have any?
You do now.
Yeah. Your seat smells like it now. Do we have any other complaints? Any other airings of grievances that we need to get into?
And when I turned to the left and looked at my other monitor, I saw Kevin Smith doing Kevin Smith face. So that's worth complaining about.
That might fall into dead horse category.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if I really struggled, I could find something else to complain about. But anything else is just kind of like, I don't really feel the need to bitch about certain things. Like, I could care less about Machine Gun Kelly, who keeps popping up, but I don't really feel the need to bitch about him either.
That's maybe another time. I
don't even know if it's worth it.
I don't like him. I don't
like him either. But I mean, I also realize that I am almost a 40-year-old man, and then I don't think that I am the Machine Gun Kelly target demographic.
As we've kind of gone over several times on this podcast, not this specific one, but in past episodes, I am not the biggest expert on punk music, but Rolling Stone, I believe it's Rolling Stone, declares Machine Gun Kelly to be the prince of punk, the prince of punk music, right?
I mean, it's Rolling Stone, so right there it's discredited.
But is what he does? That's not punk music. That's like pop music.
It's pop punk. He's produced his last 2 or 3 albums are produced by Travis Barker, who.
Okay, so is he punk at all?
Yeah,
he is.
So, do you know who he is?
Yeah, I think it's impossible not to know who the fuck Travis Barker is. The giraffe with the Cadillac on his side and all that all the fucking tattoos from some. Or I'm sorry, Blink 182. I almost did the Sum 41 thing.
He's also in Transplants and a bunch of other bands. He produces a bunch of shit. I mean, I don't really care how you define punk because it's fucking stupid to try to put a label on it like that because whatever. But my bigger opinion is say what you want about Gun Kelly. He's obviously younger and he's going towards a younger generation. And
He's not that young, though.
He's not geared towards 40-year-old guys.
Yeah, but he's not young.
How old is he?
He's like in his 30s.
Okay, whatever. My point being is if you're young and you're making new music, I'm not supposed to get it. I'm old now. Like, if I get your music, then I'm probably in the wrong boat to begin with. You Googling?
32. He's 32 years old. I don't give a fuck. I don't listen to punk music. I don't give a fuck about his music is shit.
Good, I don't give a fuck.
His music is shit. So regardless of the demographic, people are fucking stupid. Kids are stupid. I have 2 of them. They're stupid. They don't know shit. That's not punk music. I'm not a punk music guy. That's not punk music. You're insulting a whole group of people who have come before you, of people who originated the music, people that have carried the torch for the music, bands that I don't like Green Day. I cannot fucking stand Green Day. They're considered a punk band. I can't stand Blink-182. All that shit. Travis Barker is not a punk musician. He is a dude with a long neck, with a bunch of tattoos, with a blank look on his face all the time. And he married a fucking Kardashian who is like the fucking downfall of Western civilization, contributing to the downfall of Western civilization, which I guess some people might argue is punk in itself, right? Contributing to the downfall of civilization, anarchy, and all that bullshit. And Machine Gun Kelly is an offshoot of that shit. That's not punk music. Like, I don't know punk music from a hole in the ground, but I can tell you, I know enough about punk music to tell you that what Machine Gun Kelly is not punk music. It's barely it's like boy band punk music shit. It would be like if
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
is boy band punk. That's what pop punk is.
Then it's fucking trash shit.
Well, I'm not going to argue that. Like, I don't like it either, but I also don't care enough.
I don't care either, but it's shit. I care when stuff is shit. I call shit. That's how I call it like I see it. I know shit, and it's shit.
I mean, I can't really argue. I'm not trying to argue.
I know.
So.
I know you're not. There's no argument because it's true. You can't argue with the truth. It's the truth.
I do think he was pretty good as Tommy Lee. I thought he played that pretty well.
I'm not going to watch that now. Fuck that guy. I'm not poor by any means, but I don't need some fucking idiot, I don't know, influencing my decision on, I don't even know what he would be influencing, but I don't need that. I can make up my own mind about shit. He's not Tommy Lee or who is he playing in that movie? Who is he supposed to be?
Tommy Lee.
Yeah, fuck that. Tommy Lee's a fucking idiot too. I'm not going to watch any of that shit.
I think so. He's actually, that's fine if you don't want to watch it. Maybe we'll skip that episode. But he's actually, of the 4 people in that movie, he is by far the best person, like, playing one of the 4 guys in that movie. And that includes a dude from Game of Thrones, and I don't remember who the other 2 were. But
Game of Thrones?
He is...
Which guy from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, the guy who cuts off wieners, the sausage guy.
Ramsay? The bastard?
Is that him? So Ramsay? It was the second, like, big bad after they killed the little kid, the blonde kid.
Yeah, he was like the dude that they did the Battle of the Bastards with Jon Snow and the big bad. Yeah, he led the. Okay, yeah, Ramsay. Yeah,
he plays Mick Mars.
Okay.
That.
Oh, geez.
So, well, he does good at being the old guy in a group of like young kids.
Yeah,
but I mean that movie's got moments where it's moderately entertaining. I think that's because it's got Jeff Tremaine's humor kind of sprinkled throughout it more than anything.
Oh, so now I see the Machine Gun Kelly connection, because I was going to say the best thing that Machine Gun Kelly ever did was get slapped off that fucking bike in Jackass 4. That's the best thing that he's ever done.
Yeah.
He will never do anything better than that, and it's not because he did anything great. It's just because I got to see him get hit off a bike with a giant hand. That's
so
the best thing.
I will agree with that. I mean, for whatever it's worth, like, I'm not a Motley Crue fan. Like, I think hair metal in general, and Motley Crue is at the apex of this, is just kind of fucking stupid. But I do kind of have a soft spot for, like, rock documentaries or rockumentaries or whatever, even though most of them...
Biopics.
I don't know. Hollywood doesn't understand how to make music into a film in general. I don't think they do. When your high watermarks are...
Rock of Ages.
The Queen biopic. Rock of Ages. I don't think I saw that.
That's the movie about them trying to find the singer for Motley Crue, Jesus Christ, the singer for Judas Priest after Rob Halford leaves.
Oh, Rockstar. You're talking Rockstar.
No.
Mark.
Rock of Ages with Tom Cruise. It's a musical. And I thought it was about this. I thought that's what it was about, but I could be wrong.
Rockstar was about the guy
Judas
that
Priest.
replaced Halford.
Yeah.
But they couldn't call it that because, like, I heard something about that recently where I guess Halford was watching it, like, essentially, like, with his lawyer on, like, the phone, like, all right, sue now. And they never got to the point where they could.
No, I'm thinking of Rock of Ages. I'm not thinking of the Motley Crue one. But yeah, no, I'm confused. Rock of Ages is a 2012 American jukebox musical comedy film directed by Adam Shankman and based on the rock jukebox Broadway musical Rock of Ages. What the fuck is a Broadway musical rock jukebox? Fuck that.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, it sounds stupid. Starring Julianne Hough, Diego Boneta, whoever that is, and his film debut leading an ensemble cast that includes Russell Brand, Alec Baldwin, Paul Giamatti, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Malin Ackerman, Mary J. Blige, Bryan Cranston, and Tom Cruise. Oh, okay. Here's where I was getting confused. Here's where I was getting even more confused. The film features the music of many 1980s rock and glam metal artists, including Def Leppard, Journey, Scorpions, Poison, Foreigner, Guns N' Roses, Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, Bon Jovi, Twisted Sister, etc.
Rockstar is Marky Mark and Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
So,
I'm going to trump it all because Rock of Ages has Will Forte.
I'll trump that because Rockstar has Zach Wilde. And Zach Wilde can fucking shred.
Yeah, but he can't act for shit. And I will take Will Forte 99 out of 100 times over Zach Wilde.
Gonna disagree. I don't like Will Forte. Folks,
you are listening to the end of this podcast. You are listening to the end of this partnership. Will Forte is a comedic god. Hate to break it to you. It's true. I don't argue with the truth.
Will Forte is a fucking clown who sucked on Saturday Night Live and has sucked on every film like aspiration that he set out to.
Nope. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to listen to that. That's rubbish. I got one word for you. One word. MacGruber.
The movie sucks.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know I don't like MacGruber.
All right, John, we got to wrap this up.
So apparently this is the last ever episode of the Dewey Pod Monster.
We just got those stickers made up.
We'll be back next week. We have stuff in the pipeline already. We just didn't have time to record next week. So we're doing this. We got drunk and pissed each other off, apparently. So in the meantime,
super mad.
Follow us. Yeah, so mad. You look pissed with our whole bottle farm sitting here.
Right.
Anyway, in the meantime, follow us. We're on all the socials at Dewey Pod Monster. You can watch me argue with people about their opinions on movies or whatever. I really don't care about your opinion on movies. Have your opinion, but I'll call stupid things stupid. At Dewey Pod Monster. Check us out. Anchor.fm/Dewey Pod Monster. You can leave us a message there. Anywhere where you subscribe to us, if you can review us, that would be awesome too. And then in the meantime, check out Sean. Sean, go plug your plugs.
You can find me at youtube.drafttherapy.com. I mostly review Michigan beer, but I delve into different things from time to time. Indiana beers, Ohio beers. I talk about Midwestern beers. Sometimes I talk about beers from other places. And you can find me on social media at Draft Therapy.
Sometimes he doesn't talk about beer at all. Sometimes he talks about seltzer and cider. And anyway, we'll be back next week. We will go to marriage counseling and work shit out and talk to you soon.
Next week.
Have a good weekend.
Before we end it, next week, if you're still listening, the next week you can expect to hear about the Black Phone.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. All right. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.